Beauty Strategist. What is that? But before I go into that, let me just give you and let me stick to the name of this talk, which is My Ugly is My Global Brand. You know, when I start my conversations to people and I tell them about my ugly, everyone looks at me and thinks I am absolutely crazy. And yes, I am. I own my ugly. But let me tell you how my ugly and I got connected. As a young girl growing up, I was extremely bullied at school. This is at primary school. And I'm sure I'm not the first, and I'm sure I won't be the last to be bullied at school. Black girl growing up in the UK, went to a predominantly white school. Ironically, my bullies weren't white, they were black girls that looked like me. And I never did find out until many years later why I was bullied at school, other than the fact that I allowed it to happen. But there was a reason why, and I will come back to that in a moment. So I went to, at the time, a primary school. I have 5 brothers, I'm the only girl. 2 of my brothers were back in Jamaica, they hadn't come to the UK. So I was the oldest child in the UK. My parents came over from Jamaica, very young, very insecure, not knowing what they were going to do, but they came on the promise of being in the UK for 5 years. They made that promise to themselves. But unfortunately for them, 60 odd years later, they're still in the UK. But can you imagine being young and being vibrant, not having that much confidence, but having your life partner with you and saying, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. They had me, their first child in the UK, as I said. There was a lot of pressure put on me as an only girl and as the eldest without even realizing it. I had a lot of responsibilities. I had to take care of my brothers, my younger brothers, even my elder brothers back in Jamaica without even realizing it. So I went to school, I was extremely bullied. I was mullered, as they say, in the UK playground back then. I was told I was ugly. I was told I'd never amount to anything. Extremely dark skinned compared to many of the other girls. And even the other, in my opinion, the other girls that were dark, they were very, very beautiful. So I was told that I was ugly, and I believed that philosophy. I believed that so much that it became my philosophy. It became my self-fulfilling prophecy as well. I was told that I was ugly, no boys would ever like me. I mean, where was I thinking, or what was I thinking at the age of 4 that no boys would ever like me? But they got that wrong. There was a boy, his name was Stephen. And we were 5 years old. He said to me, Eryca, I am, and I really do like you, but I have to pretend that I don't, just like everybody else. So when I hit you or when I spit at you, I'm not really going to spit and I'm not really going to hit you, but just act like I have. This is at 4.5 years old. So he did that and I played the game with him, and so did many other people, and that became my way of life. I was also told that if I tell my parents or tell a school teacher what happened to me or what was happening to me, my parents would die. Now, you hear this at the age of 4, 5, 6, 7. You're only going to fall into that philosophy, that way of thinking it's normal, thinking that you're going to be responsible for your parents' lives, thinking if you tell anyone, your parents are going to die. What child wants their parents to die? So I made a conscientious decision with myself, never to tell anyone. And I didn't, not for a very long time, not until I became an adult. I was extremely bullied. I hated going to school, but I loved going home. I loved being at home with my parents, my wonderful parents. They were always dancing in the background, playing their reggae or calypso music whenever I got home from school. Or it felt like it was when I got home from school, but it was more in the evening because they obviously went to work. I was a happy child at home, but I was living and wearing a mask. As soon as I got into school, I knew that I was going to be bullied. This continued all the way until I was about age 11. At the age of 11, you know, one gets excited because you then go to your secondary school. And I really thought that I was going to get away from my bullies, the girls that didn't like me. Lo and behold, I went to my secondary school. I got there. Who were there? The same girls that were at my primary school. Being bullied became a way of life for me. I used to stand there and wait to be beaten. I used to stand there, wait to be spat upon. It was just my norm. The quicker it was done, the quicker I can get on with my day. But you know, something that remains with me forever is that I wish I had told somebody. I really wish I'd shared with somebody. But again, as a child, you don't, hindsight is a wonderful thing. And as a child, you don't think that way. I took on all the responsibilities of my parents, my family. If my parents died, who would look after my brothers and I? Who would be responsible for us? That was my logical way of thinking. After leaving secondary school, I was elated, I was excited, I couldn't wait. I knew that I didn't want to go on to further education because after all, I was daft, I was dark, I was ugly. And who would ever want me in their business? Who would ever want me to work for them? My dad said to me at the time, he said, what do you want to go on and do and become? And I said, I don't know. And my father said, would you like to come and work for me? He would like to set up a property company, and he would like to paint houses and sell them. And I could be secretary. Now, I could hardly read or write. I didn't have much qualifications, but I knew that I was going to work with Daddy. And if I worked with Daddy at the age of 17, 18, I could look after Daddy and Daddy wouldn't die. Remember, that was my normal way of thinking. It seems really strange now, me sharing it with people. When I do share it with people, they always ask me, but how could you do that? I don't know. How could people bully people? I don't know. Anyway, I worked with my dad and we ended up building a really great property company where we bought quite a few properties. This was in the 80s. And my dad became quite prolific, quite renowned as a builder. And the rest, they say, is history. But the very unfortunate thing happened to me when I was about 23, 24 years old. I went into a petrol station and woke up in hospital. But apparently what had happened was a lady came into the petrol station. She lost control of her car. And by losing control of her car, she made me into a human sandwich. The car went straight into my stomach, into my midriff area. And on the back of that then caused my left leg to be broken, my stomach to be damaged. My face landed in a pile of glass, which was the glass from the kiosk where I was paying for my petrol. And my body went into shock, and apparently my hair fell out there and then when I fell onto the ground. I was taken to hospital where I was in hospital for a very long time. My head and my face was bandaged, and I knew my left leg was broken because my leg was up in the air. But I had no idea how horrific I looked. Once the bandages were removed from my face, I saw the scars on my face. And I saw the loss of hair. Now, anyone who has hair and loses their hair, we all know what our hair means to us, no matter how much hair we have. And for me, that was confirmation of all the things that I thought about myself throughout my life. I was ugly. I was extremely ugly. And if I needed any more I couldn't have got more clarification than that. I was ugly. When I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw it was looking back at me, I wanted to die. But I knew that I wanted to do something to camouflage, to eradicate, to remove my scars. And I said to my dad that I wanted to train to become a makeup artist. Little did I know what a makeup artist job involved, but I knew that it meant covering and alleviating. So we found a makeup school in London, central London. This was in the 80s. It was called Complexion School of Makeup. My career started out at the same time as Pat McGrath and Naomi Campbell. I used to see them both going for various different shoots, various different jobs with their portfolios under their arms and just meeting different photographers. I was one of those young ladies too. But I was going as a makeup artist. And as a makeup artist, it was okay to be ugly. But I happened to enter into the industry in the UK when there was hardly any makeup artists at all that looked like me, that were black, not ugly, that were black. And I fell into my career literally by accident. I went to do a makeup shoot. There was somebody from Island Records. That person saw me do the makeup for an up-and-coming artist at the time. And they saw how that person was so happy and so elated with how their makeup looked on their face for their video that they asked me to become their permanent makeup artist. and that person was Seal. I became Seal's makeup artist for a good few videos. I then became the internal makeup artist for Island Records, and I got to meet some phenomenal people who have gone on to become huge stars. But at that point in time, they were just growing their careers just like me. So I got to do makeup artistry and I loved it. I very much loved what I was doing. I was flown all over the world. I was working with various stars, celebrities. I could see that their careers were evolving. I really did love it, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy because I couldn't move away from the fact that I was really ugly. I was very insecure, even though my parents, my family told me that I was the most beautiful girl in the world. But your parents and your brothers are going to tell you that, especially when they could see that you were not happy. Anyway, as the years went by, I realized that makeup artistry in the true sense of its word wasn't for me. Whereas I didn't have a voice, I found that a lot of people were leaning on me. A lot of women would come to me and ask me for my opinion or tell me about their relationships that were breaking down or situations that they were in. And I found that I started coaching, I started talking to people, and I started giving people advice, but not taking on my own advice. So I decided to go back and be trained, get qualified as a teacher, become qualified as a coach and a counsellor. And all three I've done. I am now a global beauty strategist. What does that mean? I work with multinational brands and I help them create makeup for women of color. Some of them are the biggest brands in the world, and I actually help them create the undertones, the makeup for particular skin types. I own a company called Embracing All Tones of Women. I've had that for a while, but I sat on it for a long time because I didn't know what to do with it. And now I'm working in partnership with the UK government and hopefully other governments too across the globe to bring women from the diaspora into Nigeria. I have an affiliation with Nigeria. I went to Nigeria 15 years ago, and on the back of that trade mission, all those years ago, I realized that by coming to Nigeria and by seeing the majority of people that look like me, that are doing things their own way and doing things because they can, I realized without even realizing that it gave me a bit of impetus. It gave me more confidence, and the more I came, the stronger I became. The stronger I became, the more I liked me. The more I liked me, the more I learned to love me. So what is my job now? My job now is to work and hopefully empower, inspire other women that look like me. I'm not far from 60 years old now, and I know that that insecurity, that lack of confidence, that lack of self-esteem has no age. So I don't just work with young women, which the whole world tends to focus on young women, and there's nothing wrong with young women. I was a young woman once. However, the older woman, she needs to be nurtured, she needs to be looked after, she needs to be cared for. People were not speaking to women of my age when we were young. People were not telling us how great we are. And I'd like to believe through embracing all tones of women, coming into Nigeria, that we are not just touching the lives of young girls, we are also empowering, uplifting the older woman. We are celebrating, we are congratulating the older women. We are bringing women from out of Nigeria into Nigeria to showcase what can be done. That's who I am, that's what I do, and that's what I love doing. And I think I will die doing what I love. So between the age of 4 and 6, at the age of 47, I discovered, because I had no memory, that I was sexually abused as a child. And that is why it was normal for me to allow other people to violate me. That person that sexually abused me was an uncle, and that was our secret. And I never told and I never shared it with anyone until I started having counselling. At the age of 47, I had a nervous breakdown. That nervous breakdown enabled me to go and seek and enabled me to go and source a psychotherapist. It was within those sessions that I learned a lot about who I am, and what happened to me, and why certain patterns happened, and why I allowed people to do what they wanted to do with me, mostly psychologically, but I mean sexually. I just shared with you what happened. I didn't understand why I didn't like me, and I had to do the work. And it's taken me all this time and all these years to put the work in. So my ugly became my global brand, and it is still my global brand. And I own my ugly because my ugly enabled me to become beautiful. And I believe I am beautiful inside as well as out. I try to be kind. I try to be nurturing. I try to be there to support other women. Supporting somebody doesn't mean compete against them. It means being there for them. No matter how accomplished they are or how accomplished they seem, it is all about knowing who you are, knowing what you want, know where you're going. And that's where I am at in my life. I am very proud of the little Eryca, the little Eryca that had no voice, but she stood the test of time. She passed the baton on to Big Eryca. Big Eryca is here trying to make a difference, even if it's in small steps, even if it's slow and in my own pace. But I am living my best life. And my message to other women around the world is no matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, please surround yourself with people that support you and love you, that will enable you to live your best life, because we are all beautiful and we are all worthy. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope that you picked up something from my talk here.